Tottenham are disgraceful this season. 16th in the Premier League after 27 games with only 29 points, only 4 more than 18th place West Ham, so they do actually see themselves in a relegation battle. A few months ago, if you told me that Tottenham would be in this position at this point in the season, I'd really heavily dismiss that, because they have really superstar players such as Xavi Simons, Kudus, Romero, Van de Ven, Vicario. There's no excuse for Tottenham to be here. They obviously sacked Ange at the end of last season. Although he won them the Europa League, they deemed 17th as unacceptable. At this point, it could be even worse than 17th for them. They actually started the season off not too badly. They did lose the UEFA Super Cup to PSG, which I can't really surprise you, to be honest. However, Tottenham did give them a bit of a fight, and PSG had to win it on penalties. I think that gave them some momentum going into the season, where they beat Burnley very comfortably 3-0 on the opening day, and then they beat Manchester City the next game. Thomas Frank's era really kicked off really strong. 3 Premier League wins in their first 5 games. Obviously that includes a loss to Bournemouth and a draw to Brighton. And Tottenham actually saw themselves 3rd place in the league after 5 game weeks. And to be fair to them, they were performing considerably better than the previous season. Obviously a draw to Wolves at that point was incredibly concerning, and also a draw to Bodo Glimt. However, they were able to give teams a competition, beating Leeds, Everton, and drawing with Manchester United in the following few game weeks. However, I think the 23rd of November 2025 marked a turning point for Tottenham, the North London derby. Now, in summer, it looked very likely that Eze was going to join Tottenham. However, in the last second, obviously Arsenal got him. And in this North London derby, although Eze didn't really do too much before this game, he managed to get himself a hat-trick, which I know Tottenham really loved. And following this, I can only really see upsetting results. Lost to Fulham, drawing to Newcastle, who at the time Newcastle were not doing very well at all. Yes, beating Brentford and Slavia Praha is impressive, but those are 2 games that they should be winning. But come on, losing to fellow relegation battle side Nottingham Forest 3-0. And by around Christmas, game week 19-ish, they were 12th in the Premier League with only 26 points. And now, to be honest, some of you might be thinking, well, Thomas Frank's Tottenham weren't really as bad as, we're making it out to seem. All those 16th place is awful. They were able to collate some points. However, if we look at the following games, they only got 3 points in the following 8 games. Or 9. Their only 3 points since that time was a 1-1 draw to Sunderland, which we mustn't forget that Sunderland are a newly promoted club. And the same is also said for Burnley, where they drew 2-2 on the 24th of January. So drawing to 2 newly promoted clubs, and then an impressive draw against Manchester City. Thomas Frank lost his job shortly after. However, if we look at the results that were interspersed between this, we have a 3-2 loss to Bournemouth, which is quite unfortunate for Tottenham. A 2-1 loss to West Ham, who were doing really poorly at the time. However, in the UCL, they were kind of cooking. They got actually 4th. So I feel like that could maybe have been enough for Frank to keep his job. However, in the Premier League, they weren't delivering at all. And the last 2 games before Frank got sacked were a 2-0 loss to Man United, where Tottenham got a red card. Manchester United looked like the dominant team, let's be honest. And a 2-1 loss to Newcastle. They're not going to get to the final of the Champions League, so results have to come in the Premier League. So I do understand it from a certain perspective. Now Igor Tudor has come in. However, we haven't really seen a revolutionary shift yet. Obviously, they lost 4-1 to Arsenal again on the 22nd of February. And as of recording, they have Fulham next, which I actually think they might lose. Igor Tudor is a kind of Antonio Conte, De Zerbi-ish manager. So, he will leave if he doesn't get what he wants. So, I think he can bring change into the side. Yeah, Tottenham needs to sort themselves out, and I don't think Igor Tudor's staying. I think Xavi Simons might consider leaving, along with other key players. So it's not looking too good for Tottenham right now. But let me know what you think down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.